Greetings everyone, this is Ishan here calling back from Okemo with a new analysis on some Pokemon from Sun and Moon. Last time I talked about Oranguru and his power through the move Instruct and Trick Room. This time, we're not talking about just one Pokemon. I'm actually going to be talking about really 4 or 5 Pokemon here. And this is the buff that these 4 or 5 Pokemon got through Sun and Moon because they were given new weather abilities. So from the past, it's always been Politoed, Abomasnow, Charizard Y, and Tyranitar to set up their respective weather ability. This time we got new ones, or we got the abilities on older Pokemon, so it gave them a little bit of a buff. The first one is Pelipper, getting the new Drizzle ability. Well, it's not new, but now getting the Drizzle ability over, I believe, Hydration. But the good thing with Pelipper is that he can now summon Rain as soon as he steps into battle, the similar way that Politoed did. Now, if we had to talk about how we compare these two Pokemon, obviously you want to compare Pelipper to Politoed, as this is the only other Pokemon that actually gets the Drizzle ability. It's interesting because both of them are available in Sun and Moon, so it's certain you can probably see more Drizzle Politoed. Sometimes you'll see more Pelipper with Drizzle, but in competitive play so far, weather has not been used as it once was back in Gen 5, especially Gen 6. So you might see some weather, just not as much as usual. And it's probably because of the terrain moves from the Guardian Deity Pokemon. Now, comparing both Pelipper and Politoed's stats, Pelipper did get an increase in special attack. It went from 85 to 95, making it actually stronger than Politoed. Along with this, Pelipper does gain access to Hurricane. Hurricane now having 100 accuracy in the rain, so it does have a really hard-hitting move. Something that you can see on Pokemon like Talonflame. You know, Talonflame had like really low attack-based power, but had really strong moves, so you can probably do that same thing with Pelipper. Now, Politoed, on the other hand, does have higher speed, plus 5 more on the speed, 10 more on the defense. It's more of a special defensive Pokemon. Pelipper is more physically defensive. It's because of this you could run Rocky Helmet on Pelipper. It actually wouldn't be that bad, but it's definitely the reason why I run a Calm Nature on Pelipper, so that way it could survive some special attacks, though it is weak to only Rock and Electric. So if you want to, you know, put more investment into the defense because you want to survive Rock Slide more often, that can work out just as well. Both Politoed and Pelipper only have 2 weaknesses, though it seems like Politoed might have an easier time surviving from those weaknesses. It does have higher hit points than Pelipper, but the advantage with Pelipper is both its special attack and the fact that it does get a lot of support status moves. Politoed really just gets Encore, and you know, it doesn't really get a lot of the moves that it got from last VGC. It doesn't have access to Icy Wind or Helping Hand straight away. Those were move tutor moves. So all it could really do is you can maybe have a Choice Scarf on Politoed, allowing it to outspeed certain Pokemon. The Choice Scarf was really helpful against Charizard Y, but Megas are not going to be a problem at all for the next VGC, so it's kind of hard to say. Though Choice Scarf Drizzle Politoed can work, it'd probably be the same thing for Choice Scarf Drizzle on Pelipper, but Pelipper with that lower speed, you might have to run a Timid Nature instead of a Jolly Nature or a Modest Nature. The good thing about Pelipper, however, is, well, not just the fact that, you know, the typing's fine. There is a lot of electric types this time around with both Tapu Koko, Alolan Raichu, and Xurkitree. But Pelipper does gain access to Sustain. It has access to Roost. Politoed does not have much access to any sort of healing move. Tailwind is great for speed control. Considering that Icy Wind is no longer available, this is probably your best bet with speed control next to Thunder Wave and Trick Room. Pelipper also gains access to Y-Guard. It can avoid itself from any Pokemon that's using Discharge. It can avoid the Rock Slide from the opponent. And offensively, if we had to look at it, it does get Air Slash, you do have a decent way of doing stab. However, it does also get Scald, so it's going to do more damage in the rain. Along with that, Hurricane, like I said before, it's going to do a massive amount of damage, even with not much special attack investment. And then finally, you have Ice Beam to really take down dragon types, a lot of the ground types. You don't have to run Scald. Ice Beam and Flying, or Ice Beam and Hurricane can be a decent way of dealing coverage. Air Slash is more reliable in case your weather gets taken over and you can't really use Hurricane that much. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that Hurricane is your only option for using attack, or it shouldn't be the only move you should have on your arsenal. If you have Roost, you most likely will be having a different item, maybe like a Rocky Helmet. But if you have Leftovers or Citrus Berry, there's not much reason to run Roost on him. Tailwind seems more viable, especially in VGC, than Wide Guard, though Wide Guard is a very nice option. It's not the only Pokemon that both sets up Weather and sets up Wide Guard at the same time. We're actually going to see that in a bit. But Pelipper was a big surprise for the fact that it does get Drizzle and the fact that it also got that special attack boost. So it definitely is going to be seen more often, probably more so than Politoed at this point, until Politoed gains access back to Icy Wind and Helping Hand. Next up, we have Torkoal. Both Ninetales, the regular form of Ninetales, and Charizard Y are not going to be used in VGC. I don't think Ninetales is actually legal in VGC, just Alolan Ninetales. So Torkoal got a quick buff. It has the ability Drought now. So Torkoal, with its large amount of defense, it could definitely survive physical hits from Earthquake, physical hits from Rock Slide, maybe even Stone Edge. And now with Drought, it's probably going to survive some water attacks, or most water attacks at this point. Unless if you're, the Pokemon Araquanid, which I like to talk about at some point, but not right now. Torkoal is devastating. It seems like it shouldn't be. It's an interesting Pokemon to have Drought, because unlike Ninetales and Charizard Y, it's actually a very defensive Pokemon. It still gains access to Iron Defense, Curse, Amnesia, so you can do some setups like that. I think it also gains access to Shell Smash, but it is a very slow Pokemon. It's your choice if you want to, put so much investment into its speed and run Shell Smash at the same time. The real advantage of Torkoal is that it can run really well in Trick Room. If you set up with a Ranguru, that is why Torkoal becomes so scary in VGC. Torkoal gains access to Eruption, which I believe is actually, if you're giving Torkoal specs, you're most likely going to do more damage than specs Typhlosion. I think without specs as well. But even then, yeah, Torkoal with Eruption is devastating. But the thing about Torkoal with the Sunny Day and Eruption in Trick Room is that with a Ranguru's move Instruct, you can have Torkoal use Eruption, let a Ranguru use Instruct, and then use Eruption once more. And then it's going to do massive amount of damage. You could also give it Heat Wave. Heat Wave is a decent option over Flamethrower in case Eruption has dropped its attack power based on the hit points. Flamethrower is good, mainly against those Pokemon who use Wide Guard a lot. Believe there is Pokemon like Araquanid that sets up Wide Guard, or even Pokemon like Golisopod can be an issue. And then we have Solar Beam, mainly there for grass, for the standard fire coverage. So yeah, it's pretty much it for Torkoal. Like, as far as the item goes, you actually have a decent amount of choices. It's a very bulky Pokemon. Giving it Safety Goggles secures itself from avoiding Spore. Rage Powder, on the other hand, though, doesn't get used as often as it used to. So Safety Goggles is kind of on and off for me. It's great for Spore. Not sure about anything else, though. Leftovers is good. It could definitely keep your Eruption staying up a little higher if you let the Leftovers heal you. In combination of Grassy Terrain, that can actually help out in case you or your opponent uses Tapu Bulu. Other options, Citrus Berry is fine, Choice Specs is fine. Not sure about Life Orb, though. That's about it. I suppose Air Balloon can work as well, because this guy's going to be really tough to take down at points. And as far as its nature goes, Quiet Nature, Modest Nature, whichever one makes it, even more viable in Trick Room. Definitely make it have lower speed than Oranguru. That way Oranguru can set up that instruct the following turn. So yeah, Torkoal is definitely a great Pokemon to use in Trick Room because of how powerful its Eruption widespread attack is. Next up, we have the Sandstorm Pokemon Gigalith. Tyranitar is not legal in this generation, and I don't think Hippowdon is either. Gigalith is interesting. It's another rock type with Sandstream, so instantly you're getting that extra special defense boost. You can, if you want, you can also put more investment into defense, and then even then, Gigalith can work really well with a Soul Vest because now it's going to be relatively tanky, maybe more so than Tyranitar. Now, Pure Rock can go on and off of how many resistances you can take, how well you can resist those Pokemon. The real advantage is that if you're a rock type and you have Sandstorm up, you can do good damage with it. Sandstream is also a great way of allowing Pokemon like a Lycanroc and Alolan Dugtrio to show off their power, because Lycanroc gets that Sandstream ability, while Alolan Dugtrio gets the Sand Force ability with its Steel and Ground typing, can work out very well. Now, another thing I liked about Gigalith when I saw him is that, unlike Tyranitar, he does gain access to Wide Guard. So Pokemon that benefit with Sandstorm and has access to Earthquake, such as Excadrill, Alolan Dugtrio, Mega Steelix, Mega Garchomp, they can be safely using Earthquake, and Gigalith can easily just Wide Guard off of it. As far as his attacks go, you can give him pretty much anything. Heavy Slam is also a good choice over Iron Head, Rock Slide, or Stone Edge, whichever is better for you. You have Autotomize if you want to make it faster. You probably have to put investment into its speed, though, even like a Jolly Nature. Earthquake, definitely the good option here. Then you have Superpower. It's a pretty standard set. Gigalith does not have amazing things going for him, but he definitely can be used quite a bit. He's just as, if not more tanky now because of the Sandstorm than Torkoal would be. And then lastly, we have to talk about Hail. Hail, in general, it was fine in 6th generation. Mega Abomasnow really took it home for how powerful he can be in Trick Room. But now we have Ninetales, Alolan Ninetales, and Vanilluxe. Both of them are available in Sun and Moon, but I believe Alolan Ninetales is only available in Pokemon Moon. But we do have some interesting things about Hail in general. On top of having more Pokemon gaining access to Snow Warning, you also have two distinct things about what Hail can do. You have the move Aurora Veil, which basically acts as Light Screen and Reflect as one move, but can only work if Hail is up. There's Pokemon like Alolan Sandslash that has access to this that can work out very well, making Ice types bulkier than normally. Now, who knows how bulky they can stay. It's going to last for 5 turns, but you know, Ice types in general don't have many resistances at all, just resistance to Ice. However, the Aurora Veil might help out. It might be something that Ice types needed in the first place. Alolan Ninetales being that part Fairy typing gives it okay coverage. It's a little redundant at points because Fairy, Ice, they take out dragons just fine. The real reason you would have Moonblast is for that really powerful single targeting move, more so than Ice Beam. You don't have to give it Ice Beam, but if it's something that you want to avoid Wide Guard supporters with, Ice Beam's still a good choice. It does gain access to Freeze Dry, however. That could be a good way of dealing with Water Fairy types, especially Tapu Fini. The problem with Alolan Ninetales, it did gain its speed. It increased its speed by 9 points, decreased its attack by 9 points. So now it's actually a pretty solid counter against not Mega Garchomp, but Garchomp in general, because it actually does outspeed Garchomp. But the problem is that the special attack is still relatively low for an Ice type. You know, Ice types, while not great defensively, they're really good offensively, and Ninetales just doesn't have that special attack. If by any chance attack was lowered by 10 more points, 57 attack, and special attack was 91, I'd be okay with that. That would work out just fine. However, it's not the biggest problem. It is You could still give it that Life Orb, you could still give it Calm Mind or Nasty Plot. So, I don't know. Specs can even work on this guy, because just because of how fast it is, it could work out just as well. Just keep in mind that, Ninetales is 4 times weak to Steel. In case you find if you're up against a Pokemon like Metagross who gains access to Bullet Punch, there's Pokemon like that you have to avoid. Otherwise, it's not easy to counter those Pokemon. Otherwise, the Ice and Fairy combination is okay. It's not great offensively or defensively, and Ninetales does lack the power to actually do that damage. I will say, however, that Ninetales, or Hail in general, is good because of the new ability Slush Rush, which is basically like Swift Swim except for Hail. And the only Pokemon I could think of on top of my head that has this ability is Alolan Sandslash and Beartic. Both Pokemon I would probably talk about in the future, but, it speaks for itself. It's basically what that ability is. And then lastly, Vanilluxe. Same ability, Snow Warning, sets up Hail immediately. You can kind of get away with making a team built around Hail, but you also want to make sure it's relatively balanced. And the good thing is that Pokemon like Alolan Sandslash and Alolan Ninetales can have that coverage because of their type combinations. But the good thing about Vanilluxe is that he can run with Scarf just fine. His speed is relatively high, and he can outspeed Scarf Politoed, can outspeed Pelipper, and doesn't have to worry about too much damage from them, because Vanilluxe, relatively okay special attack. It has access to Freeze Dry, which will instantly one-hit KO Pelipper, Gyarados, Gastrodon, all those kind of Pokemon that, are bulky water types. Gains access to Flash Cannon, gains access to Ice Beam and Blizzard. Move Pool is okay, but it definitely deserved to get a move like Snow Warning, because Vanilluxe, while silly looking, it is powerful. It relatively bulky. You can probably get this guy to work out rather well in VGC because of its power and okay move pool. But that's all it is. It's a very standard Pokemon at the same time. You could do Autotomize and a Focus Sash and let it do better damage. You can also give it a Life Orb as well, or you can give it Tailwind support and give it a Choice Specs if you want something like that. It'll do more damage than Alolan Ninetales. Anyways, that's going to be it for this run of Pokemon analysis. We have the Rain team, we have Sun, we have Gigalith with the Sandstorm, and Ninetales and Vanilluxe with the Hail. It's a good way of increasing how common weather can be, despite it not being used that often so far in this VGC. However, it's good that these Pokemon got this buff in general. So, that's going to be it for this session. Next time, we'll be talking about more Pokemon. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all whenever. Take care.